Good morning, everybody. My name is Marshall Kirkpatrick. I am the CEO and co-founder of Little Bird. We're a 15-person company downtown in Portland on 6th Street, but we don't sell hamburgers. The other Little Bird on 6th Street does sell hamburgers. They're really good. I really like going there, and I recommend checking it out. But what we do is analyze social networks. Little Bird has raised money from the Oregon Angel Fund, from Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, and from a whole bunch of other trailblazers in the social networking world to help businesses discover and vet and connect with and learn from and leverage the most trusted, respected subject matter experts in any field across the social web. So Twitter, Facebook, blogs, LinkedIn, places like that. What does that look like? Well, for example, one of the world's largest retailers is interested in tracking the horizons of a variety of different markets and product areas that they're doing business in, and they use Little Bird to identify who they should watch and learn from. As of last month, one of the largest industrial fabrication companies in the world developed an interest in going to market in the 3D printing space and wanted to build a community online with other people in 3D printing. They used Little Bird to discover what the most reputable people in that field were talking about each day so that they could share content, engage, build credibility, visibility, community, etc. When one of the world's largest artificial intelligence platforms had a big announcement to make recently, they used Little Bird to determine which cognitive scientists on the social web had won the respect of the largest number of other cognitive scientists so that they could make sure that they have relationships with those people in support of the announcement they were going to make. And one of our favorite use cases is one of the world's largest philanthropic organizations charged with changing discussions around topics like malaria, childhood poverty, U.S. foreign aid. They use Little Bird to map out those discussions online, figure out who is most effective in bridging the gap between different sides of divisive issues, and then strategizing their outreach and communications accordingly. It is super, super fun to build this company and build this technology. A lot of it is based on the kind of work and research that I have done for years by hand or using simple tools, and now we're building some really powerful, complex technology to automate and scale that kind of analysis and research. And through that experience, I've learned three different types of lessons that I thought I'd share. And the first is that listening to the best people is really important and really helpful. So prior to starting Little Bird, I was a journalist. If you'll allow me to call myself such, I was a blogger, to tell the truth. I was the first hired writer at a site called TechCrunch. I was the co-editor of a site called Read Write Web. And in those positions, it was my job to try to find interesting information about the internet before anyone else. And to tell those stories as effectively and compellingly as possible. But before I had those positions, I had to work in what I sometimes refer to as the content mines. Just lots of heavy lifting. So for example, I wrote 6 blog posts every day about the internet for AOL, and they paid me $5 an article to do it. At the same time that I was doing that work, I did 3 interviews a week with innovators who had lessons learned that they could share with the nonprofit space. So I got to interview people like Craig Newmark, Mark Cuban, a wide variety of people. And at the same time I was doing those 2 jobs, I got hired by a Forex company to write 6 posts a day about international currency speculation by 9 a.m. PST. And it was awful. The worst was when they called me up one day and they said, Marshall, we're real happy about your articles, but we're wondering if you could get them up by 9 a.m. EST. I said, no. But that didn't get me out of that whole situation until I had a big breakthrough that was driven by learning about the importance of listening to the best sources and combining that with tools. So I love to find new hammers and then go looking for nails that I never could have pounded in before. And one day I found an off-the-shelf tool that would allow me to get real-time updates from any website around the web. So I made a list of 30 of the top companies in the space that I was covering. Companies like, at the time, Google, Facebook, YouTube, Technorati, if you remember them. And as soon as they would make new blog posts or announcements, I would get a text message within 2 minutes. And I'd open up my phone, and I'd take a look at it, and if it was of general interest, I would go and write a blog post about it. And then all my competitors would go and open up their feed readers asynchronously, and they'd see that the announcement had been made and that Marshall had already written about it, which was great. And one day, Mike Arrington, the founder of TechCrunch, called me up and he said, I don't know how you do it, but you keep beating me to news stories. I want you to come and work for me. So that was how I became the first writer hired by TechCrunch. And then years later, I took the same kind of strategies and tools and approach into working and leading the team editorially over at Read Write Web. And we had a whole bunch of really elaborate tools where we would mine data and connections from the social web to find information early. And one of my favorites was a system that where we mined a service called Delicious. That some of you may remember. Millions of people used it back in its heyday before it was acquired by Yahoo and neglected, then got sold to the founders of YouTube, and now most recently it's been sold to the founders of MySpace. And but it was a wonderful, wonderful service where you could bookmark links not in your browser but up in the cloud. And then you could see all the people who had bookmarked a link around the world. And then you could subscribe to everything that any one of those people bookmarked in the future. So we had this big corpus of content from 7 years of Read Write Web history, and we knew that every day we wrote about lots of companies and products and websites that passed the test to be sufficiently interesting for us to write about it. That was a nice structured criterion for us to use, and so we took those links of all the things we'd written about in the past and we looked them up in Delicious to see their bookmarking history, and we scrolled back manually and we found the first 20 usernames of people who had bookmarked all those things that we had written about in the past, and we copied and pasted their usernames over into a spreadsheet, and then we repeated that process 400 or 500 times. And then we sorted the spreadsheet alphabetically, and we found 15 people who on 5 or more occasions had been among the first 20 people to bookmark something that we later wrote about. And so we subscribed to the feeds of everything those people bookmarked in the future, and consistently found awesome things before our competitors did that we wouldn't have known about otherwise. But these people with this demonstrated history of finding cool things, they kept it up. So those are the kinds of crazy, build it with your hands and then move up to rocks and sticks and tin cans and strings kinds of systems that my team and I did when I was working in journalism. And now at Little Bird, we're taking, based on those same kinds of approaches, we're analyzing the connections between people online, we're leveraging people's past history, and we're building scalable systems that large companies are able to use to harvest that same kind of early signal and learn about things first from the very best sources. So listening to, really focusing and building tools to focus on listening to the best sources of information was one of the key lessons that I learned so far in building my career. The second is that filtering signal from noise is a powerful way to add value. I often told my staff at Read Write Web that as we were writing articles and creating content, it was really important to try to add as much value to the conversation as possible, because that's how we'd get people to come back. That was the way to build social capital, build connections. And so I always said that there was 5 primary ways to add value on the social web. And the first was to say something first. If not first in the world, at least first in your audience's eyes. Because if you can say something interesting first and do it more than once, then people come back and say, ooh, what is that source going to say first next? So saying it first, saying it best, and really being thoughtful about articulating something in a succinct kind of way. Bringing multiple perspectives together is a third great way to add value, to aggregate and curate sorts of content. Engaging with topics of interest from a unique perspective, be that finance or feminism or whatever the perspective is. I once wrote about the acquisition of Zappos by Amazon, not just out of my own head, but by interviewing 3 supply chain analysts. Who were people that I never would have known about, but I heard that they existed, and then I tweeted and said, hey, does anybody know any supply chain analysts? And they got on the phone with me and I got to write a really neat article from that unique perspective. And then the last way that I sometimes to try to add value, which is high risk, is to try to be funny. But those are standard sorts of ways, but really as I think about it, just the act of filtering and finding the signal amidst the noise is a great opportunity, a really powerful way to add value, and it's something that people have been doing since the dawn of the internet and the social web, for sure. Early sites like Boing Boing and Lifehacker would just comb through lots and lots of items and find the very best ones, and that's what we did as tech bloggers too. We'd go no, all day long through thousands of updates from thousands of RSS feeds until we found something that warranted investigation. And we did that so you didn't have to. And that was the value add there. We really took it to some extreme levels. We'd have bots pinging us and interrupting us all day long and just making quick go, no-go decisions. And then the end result is a small list of articles that we thought real hard about and used a combination of automation and our own research to discover. But yet that filtering it's great to do original work and create original content, but there's a lot of opportunities. You can't do that all day long, every day. I mean, some people can, but there's a great opportunity to add value by filtering. And that filtering, now in the form of Littlebird, the way that we're taking that approach and enabling our customers in marketing and sales, in particular, to add value to the social web, which is something that can be a real struggle to do, is to automate a lot of that filtering. What we do is we map out a big index of hundreds or thousands of people in a particular sector. We see who they have formed organic connections with themselves. We find the people at the very center of that graph, and then we monitor those people for breakout hits in content and conversation, and then we serve it up to people. So behind every link or article that we serve up to our customers, there are waves of social proof and aggregate human work that we can go and analyze by looking at the links between people and sources and just teeing it up for our customers to take action based on. Yeah, and then the last thing that I think about when I think about lesson learned and all of that grunt work that we would do first to see if something would work before we'd automate it. The last lesson is that some things are definitely best done by machines. It is better to automate them. I really am intrigued by the economist Tyler Cowen's book called Average is Over, where he says that the future belongs to humble humans who are good at working with intelligent machines. And that's what one of the ways that we think about what we're doing at Littlebird. We want to build as much intelligence as possible into our machines to do as much of the heavy lifting of social networking as possible to bring our customers, our users, up to a higher level of abstraction, a higher starting point, so that they can then exercise their uniquely human skills of analysis and relationship building and adding value and being funny, which I don't believe that machines will ever be able to do. We'll see. And so, yeah, I think that I've done a lot of hunting around to try to build systems to find value in the future of social networks. I never believed that it was just about cats and breakfast pictures or lunch. There's dinner too. But there's a lot of opportunity for things to be automated. Just last week, we built a new artificial intelligence or machine learning kind of system that now proactively goes out and learns about new topics so that it can better make recommendations to our users. Yesterday it learned about racism and inequality, and this morning it learned about the Beatles. And I'm sure it already knows way more about the Beatles than I do. But that's great. So in the future, as a result of all this networked activity online by all of us as individuals, there are opportunities for entrepreneurs to build systems and build machines that can jump over a learning curve and create a whole lot of value and bring us as individuals to a point where we can engage with the social web really strategically for business purposes by working as humans in conjunction with machines. So those are some of the lessons that I've learned about thinking consciously and strategically about listening to the best sources and filtering and working humbly with machines and then talking as fast as I can and hoping not to run out of time. Thank you all very much for your support and interest. And